My name is Catherine. I work at a branch of a major company. I've been dating my senior coworker, Bob, for 2 years, and today is the day of our wedding. To prepare for this day, I've made several trips to the venue, handling all the wedding preparations. The only disappointment was that I wanted to choose the venue and my wedding dress together with Bob, but for some reason, he's been really busy and couldn't join me. As a result, I ended up making most of the decisions on my own, but I kept telling myself that once we're married, we'll always be together. And on the day of the wedding, I got a call from him.
I overslept.
What? But the ceremony is about to start.
What can I do? I overslept.
I know, but what time can you get here?
Well, I'm still kinda sleepy.
Wake up.
I'm awake, but I'm gonna eat and get ready, so I'll be pretty late.
You've got to be kidding.
You can handle the ceremony on your own, right?
Isn't it weird to have a wedding without the groom?
Don't worry about it. There are weddings like that, right? And I'm just running late, so you don't get mad.
The venue staff is really worried too. Of course, I'm upset.
Cut it out. You're making me not want to get married.
What?
Look, I'll show up no matter how, okay? Just start the ceremony by yourself.
By myself? And with that, the call ended. I never expected something like this to happen, and I was pretty shocked. But since he said he was coming, I had no choice but to proceed with the ceremony. However, the words, no matter how, stuck with me. No matter how? What does that mean? Despite my worries, I couldn't reach Bob after that. Even after the wedding ceremony ended, he never showed up, and as the reception started, there was still no sign of him. What's worse, half of the guests were invited by him, and none of them showed up either. What is going on? My guests were just as confused, wondering what was happening, and the room was filled with an uneasy murmur about the groomless wedding. And then a video started playing.
Enjoying the wedding with 0 guests?
The worst wedding ever. On the screen were Bob and a coworker named Mary. The two of them were sitting close together, laughing mockingly. What is this?
Yeah, I just didn't want to marry you anymore. Marrying someone poor like you doesn't make sense when it's way better to marry Mary.
That's right. My dad's a director.
Exactly. Your parents are just regular employees, right? There's no benefit in marrying a girl from a family like that. So, I'm marrying Mary. It must be pretty sad having a wedding all by yourself, but hey, it'll be a good memory, right?
Catherine, this is perfect for you. I've always wanted Bob, but you had to go and date him first, which was so annoying. In the end, Bob chose me though. I wonder who you're having your ceremony with right now. It's hilarious. This is horrible. How could they?
Come on, I never even went to the venue with you. You should have realized. We haven't even been on a date recently. When you tried to reach me, I didn't answer. And yet, you still work so hard on picking the venue. It's just too funny.
Every time Bob skipped out on a date with you, he was actually with me. We were always laughing together. Sorry about that, but honestly, you're so clueless. I had a great time though, so thanks for that.
Also, I told all my guests to cancel last minute. So, no matter how long you wait, none of my guests will show up.
The two of them on the video were laughing like they couldn't get enough of how funny it was. I was in shock, unable to comprehend how things had ended up like this. But now I finally understood what Bob meant when he said he'd come, no matter how. So that's what he meant. He never planned to go through with the wedding in the first place. If that's how he felt, he should have just said so from the start. This is too cruel. As I hung my head, the venue staff came over and gently escorted me to the waiting room. As I sat in the waiting room, dazed, my parents came in. Tears were streaming down my face, and I could barely speak. My dad, William, held me tightly. "Dad, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
You had such important guests here."
Don't worry about that.
His kind words made me cry even harder. Then, my usually gentle dad said something unexpected.
22 people, right?
"What?"
20 guests, Bob, and that woman. All from our company, correct?
"Yeah, they're from the branch."
Then we'll just fire all 22 of them.
Hearing this, I suddenly realized that was an option. He was right. Dad could make that happen. I nodded, hoping Bob and Mary would lose their jobs. The next day, if I went to work, I would have to see Bob. And not just him, but also all my coworkers from the branch. They would surely laugh at me. There was no way I could face that. So I decided to take the day off as planned. By that time, the branch was abuzz with termination notices. That's because 22 people were laid off. With that many employees let go at once, it was no surprise the branch couldn't function properly. All my guests had attended the wedding, which meant almost half of the branch's staff was terminated. As a result, the branch manager was overwhelmed with work. Amid all this, Bob and Mary confronted the branch manager.
Why are we being fired?
The branch manager said he didn't know and that he'd received direct orders from the company's president. With no other option, Bob and Mary rushed to the company's headquarters along with the 20 other employees who were also handed termination notices. They all pinned their hopes on Bob and Mary to resolve the situation. When Bob and Mary arrived at the headquarters and went to the president's office, they found a face that Bob knew all too well.
William?
Don't you dare address me so casually.
Okay, but why are you here? This is the president's office. Regular employees aren't supposed to be here, right?
Exactly. Which is why I'm here.
What do you mean?
Can't you figure it out? I'm the president of this company.
You've got to be kidding. You never told me that.
Did you ever ask?
Well, no, but I assumed you were just a regular employee at this company.
That's your problem. Isn't it strange not to know the face of your company's president? My face is on the brochures, on the website, and everywhere. How could you not know that?
Well, yeah, I guess. But still, you could have told me.
And would you have done what you did if you had known?
Well, I mean, obviously, I'd have chosen the president's daughter over the director's.
You're a disgrace. I'm glad you didn't marry my daughter. If you had, you'd eventually have been running this company. But I can't trust the lives of 1,000 employees to someone like you.
I could have been president?
Yes, I was considering it, depending on your work performance after the marriage. Of course, if you proved yourself worthy of the role.
I can't believe this. I let the golden opportunity slip through my fingers.
Yes, it seems that way. But hey, it worked out, didn't it? You're Mary, right? The daughter of Director Thomas?
"Yes, I'm his daughter."
And you're really going to marry this guy?
"Yes, because I love him."
Well, good luck with that. You'll both be unemployed soon.
Wait, William, Why are we being fired? This is wrongful termination.
Wrongful termination? Don't make me laugh. After humiliating Catherine like that, you think you don't deserve to be fired? Mary, you're no different. Even if you're Thomas's daughter, you disrespected my family. And every one of your guests who canceled yesterday. Yeah, they're all fired too.
We're being fired because of yesterday?
Yes, exactly. How could I tolerate someone who can do something like that being an employee of this company? There's no way I could forgive that, could I?
I'm so sorry. Please forgive us. Don't fire us.
It's too late for that. You humiliated Catherine with that ridiculous video, and now you want to apologize to avoid being fired? You should have expected this after what you did.
No, I wasn't thinking about that at all.
Is that so? Then you've clearly been taking society too lightly. When you hurt someone, it's only natural to face consequences. So being fired is the most reasonable outcome, don't you think?
Please, William, I'm begging you.
Enough. Get out of my sight. You're no longer employees here, and I never want to see your faces again.
But, William,
If you don't leave now, I'll call security.
fine, we're leaving.
Bob and Mary had no choice but to leave the president's office and return to the branch. At the branch, 20 employees were waiting for Bob and Mary. When they heard the reason for their termination, they were shocked and furious, realizing it was all caused by Bob and Mary's actions. Though all 22 of them left the company in tears, Bob couldn't accept it.
Mary, can't you ask your dad for help? He's the director, so maybe he can at least get our terminations revoked?
Yeah, I'll try asking him.
Encouraged by Bob, Mary contacted her dad, Thomas, who was the director.
Dad got mad at me.
She said that and then burst into tears.
What do you mean?
He said it's only natural we got fired after doing something so stupid. And he told me it's ridiculous to expect only us to be spared. Then, he cut ties with me and said never to contact him again.
So, you're not the director's daughter anymore?
Yeah, I guess that's what it means since he cut me off.
Guess? There's no guessing about it. That's exactly what it means.
Yeah, but
Well, then there's no point in marrying you.
What? So you're saying you only wanted to marry me because I was the director's daughter?
Exactly. I told you that before, didn't I? What other appeal do you have?
But we're family. So eventually, we'll definitely repair our relationship. I'm sure we'll be fine because we're still family.
Bob thought for a moment. Mary did have a point.
Yeah, you're right. If we put in the effort, he might eventually forgive you, and maybe he'll help me get back into the company.
Exactly. My dad's always been fond of me. It all depends on how we handle things.
Yeah, if we stay happily married, things will turn around for us. Okay, let's get married right away, but no wedding ceremony.
Why not?
After what we did to William's daughter, what do you think would happen if we had our own ceremony? It would put your dad in an awkward position, and there's no way Thomas would attend while he's mad. So, it's pointless. Just a waste of money.
Oh,
Mary felt a bit disappointed, but she swallowed her feelings, thinking that marrying Bob was worth it. 6 years passed, and Mary remained estranged from her dad. Still, Bob was determined to repair the relationship. He sent gifts for Father's Day, Mother's Day, birthdays, and Christmas, always accompanied by letters expressing his regret and remorse. One day, Bob and Mary's child started kindergarten. That's when they unexpectedly ran into me again.
Why is Catherine here? You're the president's daughter. Shouldn't you be sending your kid to some fancy private school, not a regular kindergarten like this?
Oh, Mary, you married Bob?
Yeah, thanks to you, my parents disowned me.
Well, that's understandable. After all, you did what you did.
So, what are you doing here?
Just because my parents are rich doesn't mean I am. I want my child to grow up like everyone else, so I enrolled my kid in a regular kindergarten.
That's such I'm rich, but pretending to be humble kind of thing.
I never said that. My husband's just an ordinary employee.
Whatever. Just stay away from me. The sight of you makes my skin crawl.
That's harsh.
It should be. You got both me and Bob fired because of you.
That was because of the horrible things you two did. But don't worry, I have no intention of getting close to you. With that, I took my daughter's hand and left the kindergarten. But Mary glared at us as we walked away.
That woman. She's the reason I'm in this mess. Yet she acts so calm and collected. How dare she?
A few days later, my daughter came home crying. When I asked what was wrong, she said no one would play with her. Wondering what had happened, I tried reaching out to the other moms, but no one answered my calls. Something was off. Eventually, I got in touch with my closest friend who told me everything. It was all because of Mary. It seems Mary has been telling the other moms to exclude me, and now my daughter is being left out too. So that's how she wants to play it. I see. Well, I won't let this go. 6 years ago, I let it slide, but not this time. You messed with my child, and I'll make sure you regret it. I'll drag you to hell. With that vow, I immediately hired a private investigator. After a while, the report from the investigator arrived. This is interesting. I've learned something quite amusing. Better remember this. With that, I decided to take action. A few days later, I got a call from Bob.
Why did you tell Mary's parents about our debts?
I just sent an envelope. I've never even met them, so how could I possibly talk to them?
You sent the investigator's report, didn't you?
Oh, looks like you figured that out. Mary's parents seem to be quite strict, don't they? It would have been a shame for them to be kept in the dark about the truth, don't you think?
I was so close. I was so close to making things work with Thomas, but now, thanks to you, everything's ruined.
If that's how you feel, you should blame Mary. This all happened because your wife messed with my child. That's why I made sure to inform them about your gambling addiction too, and Mary's shopping addiction and debts.
Mary? What do you mean she messed with your child?
You didn't know? She's the one who made sure my daughter was excluded at the kindergarten. And thanks to her, I've been excluded from the mom circle as well.
Isn't that your own fault?
So that's how you're going to play it. If that's the case, then you getting exposed for gambling and Mary's shopping habits being revealed is also your own fault, right? Same principle.
That's...
You think everything you two do is fine, but what I do is the only thing that's wrong? That's pretty hypocritical, don't you think?
But I've worked so hard.
That's the thing. If you hadn't done what you did 6 years ago, Thomas wouldn't hate you now, right? It all started with you two.
But I worked so hard.
Everyone works hard. You're not the only one. I've worked hard over the past 6 years too. We're all in the same boat.
But did you really have to tell them about the gambling?
I told you. I didn't say anything. I just sent the paperwork. You get what you give. 6 years ago, I couldn't do anything, but now I can, especially when it comes to protecting my child. I'll do whatever it takes.
That's cruel.
Cruel? Compared to being left at the wedding, I think this is nothing. Back then, I felt like my life was over. So, Mary getting scolded by her parents? That's small potatoes, especially since they've ignored me for 6 years. This is just more of the same, right? Or were you planning to keep lying and deceiving them forever?
I was working so hard to get back into the company with Thomas's help. You've ruined all my efforts.
So what? My daughter was hurt by your wife, and you expect me to care about your efforts?
That was Mary, not me. I didn't do anything.
You're a married couple, aren't you? You're in it together.
If I have to spend another 6 or 10 years on this, I'll never make it back into the company.
Let me tell you something. No matter how much you try to win over Thomas, even if he lets you back into the company, my dad never will. He's still mad at you.
This is terrible. My life.
That's the nature of revenge, isn't it? It's not pretty.
Why are you doing this? I never thought you were this cruel.
Well, coming from you, I don't think that's a fair judgment.
But this is too much.
Don't be so dramatic. This is just the beginning. It's far from over.
What? Just the beginning?
Exactly. My revenge on you and your wife has only just begun.
What are you planning to do?
I'm not going to do anything. Things will happen on their own without me lifting a finger.
Stop it. Don't mess up my life any more than you already have.
I already told you, I'm not going to do anything, but just wait and see. The little tower you've built will come crashing down so easily. With that, I hung up the phone. Bob screamed in terror at the end, but I just smiled softly. A few days later, a sealed envelope was delivered to Bob's mailbox. It was addressed to Mary. Mary opened it and gasped.
What is this?
What's wrong?
What do you mean, what's wrong? Look at this. What is this?
What are you talking about?
She shoved the contents into Bob's hands. It was a picture of Bob laughing and cozying up to another woman, along with a report. Seeing the undeniable proof in front of her, Mary's face twisted in anger as she yelled,
You've been cheating on me? Well, I'm right here.
No, of course not. Why would I ever cheat? This must be some kind of prank. Maybe it's photoshopped. I've never cheated on you.
Bob forced a smile, but it was strained. Mary continued to accuse Bob relentlessly. But then, as if it were perfectly timed, Bob's phone rang.
Is that a call from a woman?
It's not.
With a sinking feeling, Bob opened his phone. There was a message from an unknown number. The subjects read, "Affair." Curious, he opened it and found an attached video. It showed Mary entering and leaving a hotel with a man Bob didn't recognize. They were sitting close together, their shoulders pressed tightly, happily drinking and occasionally kissing. Now, this was undeniable proof.
What is this? You're the one cheating.
What are you talking about?
Mary turned pale as Bob shoved the video at her. Her lips quivered and she forced an awkward smile.
You've been accusing me, but it turns out you've been cheating too, hasn't it?
No, it's not like that. I didn't do anything like that. This has to be some kind of prank, obviously.
Though they exchanged nervous laughter, they both fell silent, knowing that pushing the issue any further would only backfire. From that day on, they unintentionally began to distance themselves from each other. At the kindergarten, I noticed Mary's child looking confused.
Mommy and Daddy don't talk anymore. Why don't they talk even though they're standing so close?
Every time I overheard them, I couldn't help but smile to myself. Sometime later, on my way back from dropping my child off at the kindergarten, Bob was waiting for me. He looked disheveled, and his wrinkled dress shirt and suit made him look more like a single man than a married one. "Oh, Bob, you're looking pretty rough. What happened to Mary?"
Because of you, my marriage is ruined.
"Because of me? How so?"
Because you sent that stuff.
"What stuff? I haven't done anything."
It was you. You put those pictures of me with another woman in my mailbox, and you sent me the video of Mary's affair.
"I didn't do any of that. You got the wrong person."
No, it was definitely you.
"Do you have any proof? If I put those photos in your mailbox, did your security camera catch me?"
No, we don't have a camera.
"Then you don't have any evidence, do you? How do you know how the photos got into your mailbox?"
They came in the mail.
"Then it could have been anyone. Want to do a handwriting analysis? I'm fine with that. And what about the video? Was it sent from my email?"
No, it wasn't.
"Then you can't say it was me, can you? I didn't do any of it. Besides, you should be glad you found out Mary was cheating, shouldn't you? And since there's a video of your affair, it means you were cheating too, right? So it's even. You have no reason to complain to me."
If it weren't for that, we'd still be a happy couple. Everything would have been fine.
A fake marriage, maybe. It would have fallen apart eventually.
Thanks to you, Mary's asking for a divorce.
Well, you've got someone else. Why not go be happy with them like you did 6 years ago? You only pick people who benefit you, don't you?
It's not like I've got an endless supply of options. I'm getting older too, you know.
Which is all the more reason to enjoy this. It might be your last romance.
I wanted to spend the rest of my life with Mary. Now everything's falling apart.
I told you I didn't do anything. The truth is, I really didn't. All I did was send Mary's parents the investigation report, then wait for the right moment to send Bob and Mary the photos and videos when their relationship was already shaky. But honestly, I didn't expect it to work out so perfectly.
If Mary divorces me, I'll never be able to return to the company.
You were still thinking you could come back to the company? No matter what you do, it's impossible. I'll never let you back in.
It's your fault. You destroyed everything. Everything that's happened to me is because of you.
Blaming others for everything is pathetic.
Say whatever you want. I'll make sure you understand just how much I hate you.
You should hate Mary, not me. If she hadn't done something so stupid, I wouldn't have done anything. I didn't plan to drag you down to hell, and I wasn't even holding a grudge. I'm happy enough without having to do that.
Why do you get to be happy when I'm this miserable?
Not my problem.
I'll never forgive you.
He glared at me with pure hatred. For the first time, I thought things might be getting serious. Then Bob lunged at me, swinging a punch. I couldn't dodge in time, and I fell to the ground as passersby screamed, some even pulling out their phones to record the scene. "Bob, if you keep this up, your photo will be all over social media. Is that what you want? And hitting me, that's assault."
Damn it.
Frustrated, Bob cursed under his breath and ran off. A person nearby saw me sitting on the ground, trembling with fear, and came over to check on me, offering some comforting words. After thanking them, I managed to stand up and make my way home. Once home, I checked social media and saw that the incident with Bob had already been posted online. With this video, I can press charges. Time for payback. I went straight to the police and told them it was me in the video and that Bob had assaulted me. I filed an official complaint for assault. I also called my dad and he rushed to the police station. Being a well-known CEO, the police were familiar with him. With the CEO's daughter as the victim, it turned into a big deal. The police moved quickly to arrest Bob, and before I knew it, he was in custody. Bob was busy with police questioning and other legal matters, but when I went to visit him, he started crying and begging.
I was wrong. I'm begging you, please settle this out of court.
You need to go through your lawyer for that.
I can't afford a lawyer.
There's always a public defender.
They never do a good job anyway.
Well, that's tough, but I'm not here to settle. I came to tell you that.
Why won't you settle?
Because I don't feel any reason to. You hit me, and that's a fact. So why should I forgive you? Also, you hurt my daughter's feelings, and that's a fact too.
If this goes on, I'll lose my job.
You betrayed me, and you hurt my child. You deserve to fall into hell.
Don't say that. Mary's asking for a divorce.
I heard that already. This isn't anything new.
My parents said they're going to cut ties with me too. Did I really deserve all this?
Since you clearly don't understand the harm you've caused, maybe some time in prison will give you a chance to reflect. Even after that, Bob kept pleading for a settlement, so I named a settlement amount. Mary refused, saying they couldn't afford such a high amount for Bob's sake. As a result, the negotiations fell apart, and Bob was sentenced to prison. After being sentenced to prison, Bob was forced to sign the divorce papers that Mary brought him, finalizing their prison divorce. No one came to visit him, and he spent 15 years behind bars. However, when he thought he could finally live in peace after his release, he was met with a new challenge: Mary's demands for alimony and child support. Mary had reconciled with her parents, who helped her hire a lawyer and demand a large sum for both. On top of that, her parents constantly berated Bob, saying that marrying him had been a huge mistake, which took a heavy toll on him emotionally. After enduring 15 years, Bob was finally released, but life wasn't kind. He couldn't find work due to the stigma of being a convicted felon, and he couldn't pay the money owed to Mary. He was pressured to borrow money to make a lump sum payment, but without the means to repay it, he worked part-time jobs and took on night shifts at a factory. Eventually, he suffered a tragic accident that cost him an arm. Even then, he couldn't repay the debt, and now he lives alone in a dark, cramped apartment, barely getting by. As for me, my husband took over my dad's company, and I live peacefully as the CEO's wife. Looking back, I feel truly lucky that I didn't end up marrying such a cheater.